Alright, we're here to look at Goji Center's newest video, which is going over some of the new stuff shown in the second Jurassic World Rebirth trailer, which I watched it and it looks good. It looks good. I hope it's good, but it looks good. I just hope it is, yeah. Because, you know, I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, but it does look good. Especially the trailer showing the one scene from the book with the T.rex chasing the boat thing, pretty much. Because, like, that's pretty much what that was, yeah. And then the title, we're calling it a Mega T.rex. I don't know why we're calling it that, but I hope it looks badass in the movie, yeah. Then we got Mutodons and the T.rex, and what do they call it? The Distortus Rex? I botched the pronunciation of that entirely. Regardless, Goji Center's gonna dig a bit deeper into this, and we're gonna watch it. So yeah. So you know, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Go check out my gaming channel if you like. And without further ado, let's jump right in the video now, shall we? I'm drinking Coke in the middle of this, by the way.
We are mere weeks out from the day Jurassic World Rebirth will stomp across cinema screens.
You know, I just realized something. You know what's gonna suck? I'm actually gonna be watching this movie next month when it comes out and everything, but I'm gonna be on vacation whenever I go see it. So I'm gonna have to probably gonna have to avoid any well, you know what? I might just watch Goji Center's videos on it anyways, because there definitely gonna be videos made after the movie's out, but I'm probably just gonna watch them anyways, because I don't know. I think spoilers just don't affect me too much as they used to. Like they used to. Like, I was spoiled on, like, what happened in Infinity War, but now it just doesn't hit. Spoiling doesn't hit too much as hard. Because, one, it's always better seeing it for yourself, and two, I only really care about spoilers if it's, like, something I, like, am extremely passionate about. So, yeah. I mean, like, extremely passionate. Like, obsessively passionate about. But, yeah. Anyway, so, other than that, I couldn't really care less whenever I really think about it. Anyways, let's get into the video now.
Worldwide, and the latest trailer has only promised more chills, more thrills, and more intrigue than...
that's why they call it a Mega T-rex, because of how big it was, right? I forgot.
The first. It was a tall order topping the terrible trio of Mosa-assisted Spinosaurs, but this latest peek into the Jurassic future has grabbed the attention of the net with 3 dinosaurs in particular. Today on Goji Center, we'll be diving into what we can find out about 3 deadly predators...
Are they swimming? I mean... Alright.
Roaming the lands of this new island. With their abilities, history, and biology...
Also, I'm not sure what a Mutodon is. I've seen it because, like, people were going over it. It seems to be a hybrid, but we're gonna find out.
On full display, before we get to see it on display terrorizing the human cast in a bid to put them 6 feet under. After all, on this island, survival is a long shot. To begin, let's start with
survival's a long shot in general in the Jurassic franchise.
T.rex. At first glance, this latest tyrant lizard king doesn't look too extremely different from the individuals we saw previously in the franchise. But on closer inspection, there are some subtle differences that might make all the difference on what separates this T.rex from the other in-gen clones. Sporting a bulkier frame more in line with the true-to-life tyrant reptiles, this Tyrannosaurus might realistically be the heaviest one seen yet. We still don't know about the official stat.
Maybe we've got a very strong T-rex now. That or just a strong T-rex in general, because, well, T-rexes have pretty much lost almost every fight they've been in the entire Jurassic series. Well, at least with every other dinosaur that's, like, around its own weight size, because, you know, it obviously wasn't losing against those raptors at the end of the first movie, and, well, they obviously dominated whatever they fought in the second one, well, until the tranquilizer came. But the T-rex got mollywopped by the Spino in the third one, and it couldn't beat the Indominus without help from Blue, and then, well, the same goes for the Giganotosaur. Excuse me. Needed help from the Theory. And so, whatever this thing ends up fighting, if it does end up fighting something, I'm hoping it can solo and win. Yeah. Okay, without help. Yeah.
That's for this individual, so...
That's why I said solo.
Some surprises could absolutely happen. But when put at the same length, it is noticeably wider and sports more soft tissue padding and muscle than even the 4 Tyrannosaurus we saw in the first trilogy, and Rexy when she bulked back up again for Dominion. Now, we did see a few folks pushing out the idea that this T-Rex is colossal, and we don't blame them. Our animation team, out of curiosity, placed our own 3D model of this new T-Rex and scaled it to proportion to this shot. While scaling a human taking into account the distance between the two, the result did indeed yield a T-Rex of outlandish proportions, more akin to the Super Rex we talked about in a previous video. Now, this is very
yeah.
likely an example of how the animators and VFX artists will increase the size of a creature to make a shot look good. A 42-foot-long T-Rex in this shot would actually look like this. So, much more likely than not, this T-Rex isn't a 23-meter hollow Earth resident. However, it is noticeably more bulky and allegedly a bigger T-Rex than the originals.
Alright.
Add to the fact that it is mentioned that all the animals left behind on this island
And those were like some people that doesn't seem related to like the main plot. Like I feel like that's gonna be like the starting shot of starting scene of the movie. So like we could see that then, and then whenever it comes to like the main people going to the island trying to get the DNA and everything, and see it then, and it being much bigger. Or at least that's my prediction.
were too dangerous, and we could be looking at the most powerful T-Rex in the franchise, who, if given the chance, could level the playing field when it comes to determining who is really the most powerful theropod in this franchise.
For real.
This added bulk might help out in another curious behavior this individual showed off, given we see this Rex pursuing the Delgado family past the water's edge and submarining their way down the river to pursue their raft. This kind of sequence famously was planned all the way back in the original movie, having been one of the first scenes storyboarded since it was probably one of the most famous action sequences out of the novel. However, there were concerns.
I really should have put that scene in the first movie, but I mean, hey, we're getting what do you call it? Well, it can adapt it somehow, not entirely accurate, but hey, we're getting something.
Production that the CGI
Which, I mean, take what you can get, I guess.
Hold up well around the moving water, and there was a serious safety hazard if the liquids affected the animatronic. Sadly, this meant that the sequence had to be cut, though it would inspire the famous theme park ride where the Tyrannosaurus is the final threat, making a lunge for
I remember going on that. Yeah, I went on that once, so yeah, that was fun.
Raft in the finale. This scene was almost reincarnated in the Lost World video game before it got to appear in another form, where Stan Winston had years more experience to create the most powerful animatronic he had ever made in JP3's Spinosaurus, who finally got the job done. The third movie's river sequence.
I thought he was about to say the T-Rex was originally intended for that scene, but well. We know what happened with that one, and if you don't know what happened, I believe the animatronic for the T-Rex got broken in the middle of the T-Rex fight. I don't know how to. I think it was actually supposed to, like, I don't think it was actually supposed to die. I think it was supposed to show up later in the movie, but, you know, the animatronic broke, and they were just like, well, might as well just make the Spino kill it. I believe that's how it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? If I'm wrong, correct me, all right? I ain't afraid of correction or anything, yeah. Or being wrong. Just correct me if I am, yeah. Timestamp it too.
Makes perfect sense in hindsight, given the water-loving habits of the Saharan sailback. But what about this literally novel idea applied to a T-Rex? While Tyrannosaurs weren't exactly prone to living in the water, the Hell Creek Formation did have ample floodplains, rivers, and coastal islands after all. We haven't seen any in the franchise taking to water quite like this outside of the novels.
Yeah.
And not just...
And I mean, and even then, it's not entirely accurate, T-Rex, because, you know, genetically engineered and stuff.
Swimming after or fishing for prey, but striding into the water to pace across the bottom. Denser-bodied animals have a lot easier...
If anything, it actually, whenever I think about it, I might feel like right at home in the water, because, you know, frog DNA, and frogs, well, they're pretty much go in the water, so, yeah.
...a time pulling off this maneuver, since most creatures are naturally buoyant and float in water. The thicker frame, combined with plenty of experience learning how to do this, might explain why this individual seems to be muscling in on something you would expect more out of a Spinosaur. Becoming adept in the water doesn't take a lot of adaptation. For example, skeletally, there isn't that much of a difference between a jaguar and a leopard. And yet the jaguar regularly jumps into the water to ambush prey and contend with other predators like crocodilians and anaconda. And a 2020...
Mainly caimans, I believe, if I'm correct, yeah. Like, they'll just jump in, bite down on their head, and then just, you know, drag them away. And it was like, I found me a snack!
A research paper did find that the body type of Tyrannosaurus would have been capable of running along the bottom of shallow water just fine. This might have even been a valid strategy to chase after shorter prey that couldn't wade as well, be it ambushing hadrosaurs near the river or chasing down a raft before it gets too close to deeper water where the even bigger predators roam. With this kind of build, prominent stripes...
Yeah, I still haven't watched that video where he went over the Spinos and the Mosa. I still haven't watched that. Should I go back and watch that? I don't know. Let me know in the comments.
An appetite for trying to eat anyone of any age group, and a fondness for water, Rebirth's Tyrannosaurus seems to be taking some cues from Dr. Crichton's original novel. They may not have red scales and a grasping extendo tongue, but there is some similarity there all the same. Rexy's novel counterpart doggedly went after the humans multiple times. If her spiritual successor is following in those big footsteps, we hope this exciting waterside sequence isn't the only look we will get at this new Rex. The rest of the trailer gave us some new looks at the Titanosaurus, possibly sporting frills that can be extended or retracted if they didn't get a facelift. Some other shots of the overgrown sea lizard making us wonder if the new Mosasaurus is going to make the one from the prior trilogy look small. And seems like
One thing for sure is that it definitely looks like it's going to be doing a lot more action than the first one. Yeah.
Got some dragons. Okay, so we at the channel also heard the hearsay about the winged raptors on some of the chatter leaking out about the upcoming movie, and frankly didn't know what to expect. After all, real-life raptors really did have wings, and plenty of them probably did use those wings for everything from balance to gliding, swimming, and yes, maybe even some amount of flight. This, however, was
maybe just straight up gliding too.
Something we were simultaneously expecting and surprised about. Put some guy in plate armor with a longsword next to these things and you'd think we were talking about a movie involving wyverns. Ignoring the jokes about Dr. Wu, apparently...
Go back, hold on. Yeah, this thing kind of does remind me, kind of look a bit draconic, kind of. Not entirely, but I can see a little bit in it, yeah. It's got a mean stare too, like, hello. We're having a staring contest right now. And I'm gonna lose because it's paused, yeah.
Involving wyverns. Ignoring the jokes about Dr. Wu apparently having access to Westeros, these newcomers are supposedly called Mutadon, based on a label we see in the trailer.
Oh, what if they're, no, that's... Oh, wait, Dimorphodon, yeah. What if they're, like, mutated Dimorphodons? Maybe the T.rex isn't the only mutated thing. Yeah, that's my guess. I don't know. Or it is just another hybrid. And if that's the case, what's the other, what else did they put in it, if that is the case? Which, I don't know.
The name sounds very on brand with Gareth Edward, Mutos. And this time around, it seems like somebody rolled up the
Dimorphodon? Oh boy.
threats of a dromaeosaur and a pterosaur into one package. Might these creatures be the shot of raptor feet we saw in the first trailer?
Possibly.
It's possible, but doesn't seem to be the case unless they changed the CGI. This CinemaCon poster starring Johansson's character Zora faced with a raptor-like foot has our attention. However, the visible sores and unusually long, thin toes and claws on this limb don't match up to the classic-styled raptors. And given Zora is the character menaced by the Mutadons the most in the trailer, it's fair to say this sickly foot belongs to one of these unstable hybrids. We know from expensive merchandise and character art that raptors of some form more closely resembling the variety from the third movie are going to be in the film somewhere. So more classic-style raptors might appear in the movie, possibly even squaring off with their mutant counterparts on screen or in the next Evolution video game.
I don't know why, but I can see like 3 raptors jumping like one of these Mutadons. I don't know why. That just popped in my head. I don't know. Maybe keep that in your head for when the movie comes out.
Attacking the cast inside abandoned ruins is definitely bringing a lot of memories involving what went down on Site B in 1997 to mind. Perhaps someone thought the type of animal...
That was one of my favorite scenes from that movie.
Numerous groups would try to make into trained attack beasts needed some vertical superiority. Sporting a raptor-like hand with at least 2 fingers and a third swiveled back, these new flesh-eaters would still be able to grapple, stab, and rend almost as well as any raptor. But once that extended finger swivels out, long pointed wings like nothing seen in any dinosaur are on full display. The closest anything out of Dinosauria to this would be the tiny bird relative with bat-like wings, Yi Chi. But tiny, these things are clearly not.
Yeah.
Assuming the role they are meant to play and comparing them to that door we see this...
And again, it could still be like that, but, you know, what was that thing he said in the human dinosaur hybrid video where it's like ignore like a gene thing and could become bigger. Maybe it's like that. I don't know.
One standing
I
in
don't remember the name of that. Someone remembers that. Put in the comments.
front of, the Mutodon seems to be slightly shorter than the scaly Deinonychus-like raptor most of us are more familiar with. It could still be that they are the same size or even bigger than the classic raptors, but this smaller size might help them leverage the other half of their genome better with less weight. So, why would less weight be handy in this situation? Well, it is true that some surprises could be in store, especially to pick a more marketable-sounding species in a movie that's supposedly retitled Argentinosaurus to Titanosaurus, and a pterosaur literally named Death Dragon, Thanatos Draken, to Quetzalcoatlus. The anatomy of this hybrid does remind us of a Jurassic species most of the scriptwriters would have been familiar with, had they cracked open a book on pterosaurs in the decades before animals like the cats or dimorphs became household names. Rhamphorhynchus was a seagull-sized pterosaur found in abundance across Europe. One of the very first pterosaurs ever well understood.
They've got quite the interesting face.
The pointed wings, long tail, and combination hooked beak and jagged teeth definitely remind us of this hybrid. There is another possibility, given this latest outing seems to be taking some cues from the late Crichton's novels. In the original novel, as Dr. Grant and the kids are making their way across the park, they come upon a secret area not previously talked about. There, they run afoul of a foul flock of fowl when a Pterodactylus goes on the attack. Cut from the film, but appearing in tie-in media from the first to the last outing, Pterodactylus does still have the pointed beak and prominent teeth the mutant seems to sport. Realistically, however, could something like this actually exist? Could it fly or only glide? The answer might be more of a gradient than a firm yes or no. Raptors are among the dinosaurs closest to birds, and given some of the most primitive raptors, like Microraptor, spent plenty of time in forests and near tall trees, and seems to have wings big enough for some amount of flight, it's possible raptors might have all had that ability when they started out as younglings. Heavyweights like Utahraptor certainly couldn't do more than glide, but even man-sized species like Deinonychus very well might have spent time up in the trees. Now, this isn't to say they were soaring through the skies, but flight-boosted jumps to get up off the ground and gliding pounces from the treetops are entirely possible.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Feathery wings might not work quite the same way as pterosaur wings, but there could be some congruency there. One of the biggest hurdles would be literally taking the hurdle to get off the ground, however. One of the reasons pterosaurs could grow to such a huge size and still fly easily was because they were actually quadrupeds. Able to use their arms as their biggest set of legs, this meant adding more muscle and bone mass to their upper body for a better vault, and takeoff also meant giving them bigger and stronger flight muscles to keep airborne. Birds, as theropod dinosaurs, however, are more or less locked into being bipeds. With maybe one or two exceptions, theropods just aren't built to hold up their own weight with their arms. For flying theropods, however, this means that the set of limbs they need to use to run to get a kickstart for flight are not the same limbs they're going to be flying with. Adding more weight to the legs for a stronger takeoff and jump just means more weight to carry around while flying. Add in a long tail that's going to produce a lot of drag, and something shaped like these hybrids probably would have a much harder time staying airborne than a pterosaur of the same size. If this raptor was indeed capable of flight, it should more or less be shaped like this. Wider chest and more wing surface area to create enough downward force to push the raptor upwards. Shorter, less heavier legs, and a shorter tail. We do think, however, that these things will be able to at least glide a good distance. No point in adding wings to these animals if they aren't going to be showcased gliding from point A to point B.
True.
Still,
Unless it's just a mutated thing, but no.
Regardless of if they can only glide, fly in short bursts, or take to the skies, we're happy to see the carnivore carnage coming in all matters of scale this time around. And speaking of mutants,
oh boy,
we got a bit of new insight on the T.rex, and we also know its full name. Distortus Rex.
There it is.
Of all the terrors in the new trailer,
I mean, fitting name. Distortus, it's mutated now.
Still impressive that it is the T.rex that continues to steal the show. Previously on the channel, we analyzed what little we had to go off of for this monstrous mutant, and we were happy to see a good chunk of the speculations we had held up pretty well. While we still don't have a full body shot on screen, early release merchandise and a more complete picture from the trailer does give us more to work off of. Seemingly lighter in color than we thought initially, the Distortus Rex.
See, it does look more frog-like, like whenever, yeah, it does look more frog-like, yeah. Like, more froggish than, yeah. Thing was, I was kind of saying that it kind of looked a bit like a frog because because with the DNA strands aren't complete, but so they complete it with like frog DNA, and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Is it just me with it, or do other people think the same? Just me? I don't know. Well, let me know.
Distorted or malformed King has all the bulk we would expect for a hybrid mutant that is carrying an ample amount of Tyrannosaurus in the genome. Alongside bulking up the model, it seems like the hybrid might alternate its stance every now and then.
Oh.
The first trailer showed off a moment of it knuckle-walking like a great ape, but some of the recently released toy images seem to show it walking on its palms more like monkeys. This doesn't mean it necessarily has both, it just shows it has quite dexterous hands to be able to switch back and forth. That same dexterity certainly came to ruin this guy's day when he seems to be the latest in the long line of people having bad luck with doors in Gareth Edward movies.
Yep.
Yeah, the way this dude begs for his life is a bit unsettling, foreshadowing that Distortus will be up to no good in the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Notice how before they probably sent this
Jesus.
unlucky bastard to meet their maker, the T.rex seems to curiously paw at and manipulate the man. This is the kind of behavior you see in inquisitive, intelligent predators, especially when they first encounter something they hadn't seen up close in a long time. Watch a tiger in a zoo with a new toy, and you'll see the same thing. Considering early reporting from Empire magazine indicates that this creature was probably created sometime in between the third and fourth movie, it being a hybrid on top of a mutation makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What exactly is in there, however, we can still only speculate about until we have some official listings.
Yeah.
But given how cognizant it seems to be in the trailer, some intelligent animals with long limbs like primates may not be out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Will the fourth
I can see
Jurassic
it.
World film take the same plunge the fourth Jurassic Park film nearly did, and have human DNA in this antagonist as some kind of spiritual successor to the Tyranno sapiens? Who can say? What we can say, however, is we were right to speculate that this abomination is absolutely gigantic. Now, we would like to remind everybody that figuring out exact size from a CGI model is going to be tricky. There are some shots in this very trailer that make the new
Only go so far with it.
Tyrannosaurus look like they might be twice as big as the previous versions, but there are also plenty that make it seem closer in size to the likes of Rexy, the Doe, and the Buck. Still, the shots we see here does support the Distorted King potentially taking the new crown of the largest terrestrial predator in the franchise after all, at potentially over 6 to 7.6 meters, or 20 to 25 feet tall. We are eagerly awaiting some more official listings on how grand this Goliath is supposed to be, so stay tuned as we do the same thing. Want to see more coverage of the new movie after its big release? Care for a combat evaluation of these new terrors and older beasts of the franchise? Subscribe. Or T.rex will give you a wedgie.
Oh, wedgie. Okay. All right. Well, the movie's definitely looking to be very interesting with these dinosaurs being in it. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the Distortus Rex is going to be like in it. So, yeah, that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. Regardless of what happens, I just hope the movie's good. Yeah, I just really do. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video now. So if you enjoyed it, check out the original video, which will be linked in the description below. Go support Goji Center for making this amazing video. He'll be linked in the description below as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, check out my gaming channel if you like. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.